What's up, mortgage coach community? I am so pumped for this conversation with the one and only Coach Carl White. What's up, Carl?
How you doing, man? Good to see, good. Always a pleasure, Dave. It's you're a happening dude, man. It's an honor to be here with you.
Well, you are a happening dude too, and I always get a lot of wisdom from you, and not only do you say smart things, but they really sink in at an emotional level. So I think this is a super important conversation, and something I have a lot of passion about, and something that I know you not only practice yourself, but you've had a journey on how to be smart with money, and how to be smart with money as a loan officer, but then how to turn that into a competitive advantage in the marketplace.
Good stuff.
You agree with that though? You feel like you do that with your practice and with your coaching?
Yeah, I think we help. Oh, absolutely, we help loan officers. Look, here's the bottom line. Like most of us that have got in this business, and I know Dave, you've shared a little bit about your past story of growing up, and mine maybe even more extreme. Like, dude, I grew up poor, like poor. And my father literally grew up in a house with literally with dirt floors. We're talking like poor. And I had floors, don't get me wrong, but I never had air conditioning. And dude, we live in Tampa Bay, Florida, where it's hot and never had air conditioning. So all of a sudden, we find ourselves in this career, all of us that's in the loan officer business. There's some serious money, right? I mean, you can make some serious money. And a good portion of our group, in your group, is in what we call the 2 Comma Club, which means they're making more than $1 million W-2 income. And suddenly you're making all this money. I can't go to dad saying, Dad, how do I do this? Or what do I do with this? Dad didn't have a floor in his house, like growing up. So he, awesome father, wise man, doesn't know this topic. And so I think there's a great need for these kinds of conversations, Dave, and just sharing the different ideas that each of it that you do in your group and what I do in my group, and helping people that come from most of the time modest means, that are now making hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. How do I do this, and what do I do with this? It's all new trumping ground. There's a stat that I quote often, Dave. 78% of all NFL players go bankrupt within 5 years of retiring, even though the average NFL player makes more money in one season than the average American does their entire career. 78% go bankrupt. So that's one of, and I know you have a big passion for this too, is to help these loan officers navigate these uncharted waters. What do I do? I'm making all this money. What do I do with it now?
Yeah, well, I think there's two pieces of it. And I definitely want to cover, hey, loan officers, how can you be more financially literate? But I think there's another piece in that there really is a financial literacy crisis in America. And, most high school kids don't know why they should own versus rent. They don't know, they're not financially literate. Most who graduate from college, and by the way, most people don't graduate from college. So like most people go into adulthood, and our education system in America doesn't make you smart with money. And while there's a lot more to life than money, but if you don't manage your money right, it doesn't make your life better. Like if you can just learn this. So, part of my mission is, I really do believe that a loan officer should be captain of the wealth team, could be the single most valuable advisor that a family ever has, more valuable than a CPA, more valuable than a financial planner, certainly more valuable than a life insurance agent. Nothing against you life insurance agents out there.
All good people, but just not as
impactful. Right. But if we just kind of have a fiscal literacy conversation versus just a prequal,
yeah,
we'll have a better conversion. We'll get more referrals. We'll have a client for life. And we'll help change ourselves and other people's families. So, this interview you and I are having right now started with a post I made on Facebook. And I had posted something to the effect that if you were going to give one book to I think I said 21-year-old on being smart with money, what would be that book? And by the way, guys, if you're not in our Facebook group, Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind, get in there. I think we might have had over 100 comments on that post. Let's start with your advice. The advice, if you could just, I don't know if you remember it, but start with some of your advice in that in there?
So for me, like the single biggest thing I can do, there's two things that as a loan officer that I can do to create wealth. And by the way, there's a difference between being rich and being wealthy. So being rich is where I can do everything that I want to do. Being wealthy is I get to do everything I want to do. My kids get to do everything they want to do. Their kids get to do everything they want to do. And the main goose is still there. Like we're not tapping into the main goose. That's what's wealthy is. So we want to ask, like the goal we're looking for here is to be wealthy so we can make a difference. And by the way, like some people say, well, Carl, when is enough enough? And I'm going to say, you can always go help more people with that money. So like some of the things that we do with our wealth is, we go help people. Like we do scholarships. So me and the lovely Ms., and I'm not saying this to brag, I'm saying it to inspire people. And the people that know me understand that that's indeed what I'm doing here. So we do a scholarships, and we send kids, give them a full ride to college. We built a center for battered women just outside of Cartagena in South America, in Colombia, that's changing lives down there. With our friend John Hinks, he's got this what's called Camp Cole, and it's a camp for he hates when I use this word, but I'm going to use it, handicapped children, where they have these kids that go to this camp, and that's all it is. And this week it might be kids with severe ADHD. This week it might be homeless kids. This week it might be kids with sickle cell or diabetes. And so there never is enough, because you can always go help more people. Because one thing I found is money is nothing but an accelerator. And what I mean by that, if you're heading to good things, it'll take you there faster. If you're heading for bad things or trouble, it'll take you there faster, right? And if you're chasing your tail around, like running in circles, it'll just have you running faster. But anyway, back to your original question. So for me, the best way to create our wealth as loan officers is, number one, save 25% of personal net. 25% of personal net. In other words, like when I get my paycheck, whatever that number is on the front of the check that I can go to the bank, which for most of you is going to be the taxes have already been taken out, that save 25% of that number. So just for easy math, if I got $10,000 on that check, I'd save $2,500. If I got $100,000 on that check, I'd save $25,000. That one thing alone is an absolute game changer. That one thing alone is more important than what I put it in. A lot of people get so tied up into what I put it in, which is a good thing to do, but the 25% out trumps everything else. And Dave, I know as I did, a lot of people, they go, well, wait a minute, if I'm saving 25%, I can't do that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Make it so that it's not optional. I've got my paycheck set up that when through our bank, when I get a check, it goes through this little system at the bank, and they automatically put 25% over here in this account and 75% over in this account. The 75% in the one account, I get to spend that money, every dime of it if I want to, right? Every single dime of it. I can buy boats, I can buy cars, I can go buy houses, I can blow it. I can have Van Halen come play at my birthday party. I can do anything I want with that $75,000 as long as I pay cash. I can't do payments. So like if I go buy a car, if I go buy a boat, I can't do payments on that car. I got to pay cash. When can I buy that new Lamborghini? When I can pay cash for it out of my 75%. That's when you can do it. So when it's just automatically done like that, and I have to live off the 75%, the first month I might feel it, but I'm telling you, month 2 or 3, you don't. The other thing that'll happen, Dave, is if it does pinch me a little bit, it's not like we work at, nothing wrong with these places, but it's not like I work at Home Depot where I get this set amount. As loan officers, we dictate how much of a raise we get by our activities that we do, right? By how many total cost analysis that we do, how many applications that we do, how many coffee appointments that we do, and then ask for the business. So we dictate our income. So if taking out that 25% pinches me a little bit, that motivates me, go close more loans, do a different activity that will close more loans, and suddenly I'm not pinched anymore. So saving that 25% not only will save me money, it'll motivate me to do more efficient activities so that I can live off the 75%. So saving 25% is the one thing and you can't, a lot of people say, well, I'm only closing whatever, maybe it's 3 and maybe it's 33. I'm only closing 3 loans a month right now. I can't save the 25%. Yes, you can. Because one thing I found, Dave, if I say, well, when blank happens, then I'll blank, it'll never happen. It'll never happen. So this day today, start saving that 25%.
So, and I do believe, that was your number one.
Yeah.
And I want to get 4 foundations out of you. And then I don't know if we'll have time in this call. We might have to make this a part 1 of a part 2, but I want to, now we take these financial literacy principles and we turn them into a loan officer conversation,
Yeah.
So that's a principle that you recommend for all mortgage professionals.
Yeah.
So mortgage coaches can't deny how much sense that makes. Give us at least 2 more, and then I'll see if we have time for 3.
Okay.
What's number 2?
When you were kind enough to reach out to me to invite me to be in front of your crowd and talk about this, I almost hesitated coming up with 2, 3, and 4 because I don't want to water down the importance of number 1. That 25% will out trump everything else I talk about today. Everything else that out trumps everything else. So go do that first, and you can do it right now today. One thing I have found is that there's 3 ways to become wealthy. Number 1, inherit it. And there's only, to my knowledge, there's 3 ways and 3 ways only. I can inherit it, which I don't know about you, Dave, that didn't work out so well for me, right? Awesome parents, right? I'm very grateful, but there was no large inheritance. I can invent something, which Dave, frankly, you have, right? You've invented Mortgage Coach, which is a fantastic, iconic tool here in the industry. But for most of us, inventing something may or may not happen. I can only speak for myself. Didn't happen. Or I can invest. That's the only 3 ways: inherit, invent, or invest. Investing has 2 parts to it. So I can invest that 25%, which is very cool. But then on the 75%, I invest some of that too. I invest in my business, or I invest in my education. So let's just take Mortgage Coach, for example, Dave. If I take part of my 75% and invest it back into Mortgage Coach, let's say, I say, hey, Dave, I got a stock and it'll give you 20% return, right? You give me $2,000 and I'll give you a 20% return. My guess is you and most people would say, heck yeah, man, that'd be a home run. If my investment portfolios make me 20% or maybe even 30% in my wildest dream, awesome, that would be great. Well, the same thing, if we take these small investments like Mortgage Coach or whatever that thing is, right? Whatever that thing is, maybe it's a person, an assistant in your office to help you close more loans. And let's say that assistant's cost you $3,000 a month, and they help you bring in another, say, even just modestly 5 loans. I'm investing $3,000 in help. I'm closing another 5 loans. If I make $3,000 per loan, I make another $15,000. I turn 3 into 15. That's a crazy good investment. So invest in your business on things that'll help you close more loans. Now, if we work for Home Depot, I wouldn't give that advice because they can't dictate their income. As loan officers, we can dictate our income. Invest in your business. Number 2.
Oh, time out, because I did not see that coming. And by the way, I love your inherit, invent, or invest. Everybody
Yes.
write that down. I mean, I think that's just a great framework. And when you were talking about the invest, I was taking notes, and I kind of came up with my 3. I didn't know what your 3 were going to be. And I came up with real estate, stock, and I had the 3rd one, opportunities, investment zones, someone's raising money and it's a limited partnership. And I was like, I nailed it. And then you crushed me. You go, your team. And I want to say something before I hear the rest of it, because I think it's so important. Because I did a lot of thinking about this over the holiday.
Yeah.
I want to show on my screen real quick. I launch every the week between Christmas and New Year's. I take a lot of time off, but I also go through our YouTube channel and I'm like, what are the top 10 videos? What are the top 10 videos? And what are I always try to come up with 3 mega trends that happened that year and that are going to impact next year. So when I show this to you guys, and Carl, this is going to blow your mind. At least I think this is going to blow your mind. One of them will not blow your mind. Megatrend number 1 is technology. loan officers that use video and digital platforms like Mortgage Coach, Megatrend. Megatrend number 2 is teams. Now, Carl, I wanted to see how close you get to the numbers. In 2002, I started tracking this in 2019. There were over like 3,500 teams that did over 300 loans a year in 2001. Guess how many teams did over 300 loans a year? And keep in mind, there wasn't more volume last year, but guess how many teams did over 300 loans in 2021?
Brother, I would literally have no clue.
So far, most people have said less, less. But here's the deal, guys. I'm showing it on my screen right now. It went from 3,566 teams did over 300 loans to 6,305. That means there was a 75% increase in teams doing over 300 loans. So what's that mean? It means that teams are gaining market share. Everyone listening to this, and let's see if you agree with this, don't worry about technology companies putting mortgage loan officers out of business. But you should absolutely worry about loan officers that use technology and media that are building teams, taking away your market share. That is where it's at. So do you agree with that?
I mean, team is everything. And I just got the number literally 20 minutes ago. So my team, I think everybody knows I'm still actually in the mortgage business.
Yeah. What'd your team do?
And so my team, I got the number here, did 8,015 units for the year for 1,878,565,795. So in other words, 1.87 billion.
Carl, boom,
dude.
Legit.
But it's investing in the team, right? It's investing in the team. That's how it makes it happen, So, I always get a kick out of this. Like I'll say, hey, kudos to Bob or kudos to Susan for closing 20 units. And somebody will say, yeah, but they had help. It was like, well, of course they had help. That's no fair. They had help. That's no fair. Ford had more than one person building trucks last year. That's not fair. It's like, of course they had more than one person building. That's the whole point, is invest into a team. So anyway, hey, just real quick. So save 25%, invest in your business because we can make a lot more money. Thus say the 25% is a lot more, right? Is a lot more. Number 3, max out your 401k or IRA or whichever one that is that you use. I'm not here to discuss which one's better, like a SEP or what, just whatever you have, whatever you use, whatever your financial planner, whatever your employer has, max it out. Number 4, eliminate, and this is just a personal thing for me, eliminate all debt except for homes. In other words, if I buy a car, I don't care if it's 0% financing, it'll do me way better just to have that mindset, pay cash for that and pay it out of the 25%. Here's the thing. I'm sorry, pay it out of the 75%. The only thing the 25% can be used for is that goes toward our Freedom Day where work is optional. And Dave, I know you and I both have hit our Freedom Days where work is optional these days. And I'm telling you, that's a game changer when that happens. Like my whole mindset changed when I knew that work is now optional. I don't have to do it. We do it because we want to. We want to make a difference. You were telling me some really cool stuff before we hit the record button. You're just looking to make an impact a little bit more on the world. So on the 75%, that's where we buy everything out of. But get this, Dave. So I'm a motorcycle enthusiast, and I was getting ready to go buy my 6th motorcycle. My wife says, it's not like you need another bike. But here's the thing. She knows that I buy it out of my 75%, right? She knows that I pay cash for it. She gets the 25% that goes into our Freedom account that we never touch, like ever, not even for emergency. That's our Freedom account. So if I want to go buy another motorcycle or I want to go buy another boat or some other toy, I need to go make more money so that my 75% is more money. And when my 75% is more money, my 25% is more money. So in other words, when I go buy another motorcycle or another boat or another motorhome, I don't have less money in the bank. I've got more money in the bank because I went out and did more better work. I made more better investments in my team. I did activities that closed me more loans so that my 75% that I buy all my toys with was more, which drug my 25% up that I save to come up more too. So when I go buy stuff or toys, the level of Mrs. White actually encourage it these days, because then she has more money in our 25% account. So, so I love the 75-25 thing, because you know, and I know we got to wrap up here, Dave, but for me, an issue became, when is it okay to start flying first class? When is it okay to buy a Rolex watch? When is it okay to buy a Rolls Royce? If you want one, you might not ever want one, but when it is okay to do that if you want to? When is it okay to fly your in-laws first class on a vacation? When is that okay? And not coming for money, I didn't know. Now I know. It's out of the 75%. Whatever I want to do out of the 75%, I can do anything I want. I can never touch the 25%. And just in completion here, about 3 years ago, me and the lovely Mrs. White, we actually flipped it. So we do 25% of personal gross now. So it's really more of 50% personal net. So we're basically, we spend 50% and we save 50%. Because, you know, once you get the things paid off for us, like we don't have as many wants these days, just, you know, being honest with you. And so I'm not buying as many toys, because I'm not saying this to be funny. I kind of got, you know, I got the things that I wanted. And so now it's like, all right, well, let's just start saving more. And we started making more. And so there's more to save. And then that just kind of perpetuates on each other. And then what do you invest in? Real estate's good. I'm a huge fan of the stock market. If you're not familiar with the stock market, I recommend doing mutual funds, growth funds, S&P 500. If you're looking for a great organization to kind of give financial advice, the Motley Fool is absolutely outstanding service. I think it costs like $100 a year. They basically give it away. And they give really good, just generic, not personalized, of course, but generic stock advice. I've been a Motley Fool fan. So, but save 25%.
I'm also a Motley Fool fan and a Dan Rawich fan. You know, check out everything Dan Rawich is doing.
Dan's got it going on. I got one issue with Dan, man. I got one issue and one issue only with Dan. When Dan talks with me, dude, I feel so inadequate after those conversations that, you know, it's almost embarrassing, but he's such a nice guy. And, you know, he's so gentle with his conversation. He dumbs it down a little bit for guys like me. But yeah, Dan, when it comes to like the stock market and bonds and what's going up and what's going down, Dan is the man. There's no question about it.
Check that out at marketmentorship.com and Motley Fool. I mean, you know, if you have money on the asset side of the balance sheet that you want to manage, you want to be smart at, two great things. Yeah. I just saw Dan Keller, you know, so I had a feeling this is going to attract some conversations. Dan, we're going to be wrapping this up, but if you have questions for Carl, put them in. He just said, I just bought my dream fishing boat, didn't touch my cash or investment, flipped 4 homes, paid cash for it. Great advice, Carl. So Mortgage Coach community, that's going to be a theme all year long. You know, I'm looking forward to my next interview with Mike Garrett again. For anyone that didn't see that interview I did with Mike Garrett, and he shared how he's been teaming up with CPAs, financial planners, and realtors, and going out every week. He's going out to a high school and he's doing financial literacy training. I think it's one message I want to put to the Mortgage Coach community. You know, doing $100 million a year or more in volume, you should shoot for that. And by the way, I'm not saying everybody should. If 20 million a year, I've never met a loan officer that didn't want to at least get to 100 loans a year. You know, like everybody wants to do 10 loans a month. So, but whatever your goal is, hit it. But when you've hit that goal, give back. Go out, because now you're wise, you're smart, and do financial literacy training. So for every black belt in the Mortgage Coach community, if you are not figuring out how to go out and do volunteer financial literacy training, you're just not playing at the peak. You know, there's a higher level to play, and I'll be celebrating loan officers like that. So if you're a loan officer that is, you know, a black belt or higher in Mortgage Coach, you've achieved your goals of what you want to do as a mortgage professional, and you are doing that. I want pictures in our YouTube channel, and I want to celebrate you. Carl, let's close out.
Just one thing.
Any final thoughts?
I love Dan Keller, man. That guy's got it going on. He's an absolute icon in the industry and a great model for us all. I put a slight different spin to that, Dan. So if I sold those houses, I flipped those houses and made money, I saved 25%. and then I can buy my boat with the 75%. And then if I don't have enough money, then I need to do more of those or something different. But that would be income in my book, and 25% of that goes into my freedom account. But look, Dan's got more money than I.
By the way, he might have done that. He didn't say.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
He did not say that he spent all the money from his 4 flips.
Yeah,
and they were flips. I was going to kind of throw in where, well, Dan, maybe you should have kept those. But I'm assuming
he's got it going on. I'm a Dan fan for sure.
He did that, but good stuff. So guys, we're going to keep this conversation going. Carl White, you are the man.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate
Thank you for everything you bring to this community. And I'm looking, part 2 is where do we take this? And when and how should we integrate this into the loan officer conversation? So be thinking about that, Carl.
All right, brother. Always a pleasure.
Give us a like, share this. Make sure you subscribe to the Mortgage Coach